Well, welcome, guys. I am so excited for this episode. We have the honor and pleasure of talking to the amazing Rachel Borntrager. And she was the very first health coach that I helped to reach six figures. And that is not a feat that a lot of health coaches do. And it was just an absolute pleasure. And it's not like everything was easy for her. And we're going to go back to the beginning and where she started. And we're still working together. And her practice and has grown from really no clients, not knowing how to put it together. We'll go into some of those details to now she's actually on track to a $500,000 business. And so it's really grown. By the way, when you're in business, it's not like she has that stacked up on her desk. She will have expenses and she's running it, but she's in a much better position, and it is and doing work that she loves. And she has people flying from New York to see her in Plentywood, Montana. And she is the mom of 5 kids. And she was formerly an X-ray tech. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But had this burning desire to help people be healthier, and became a health coach. And that was what she really wanted to do. But like many of you who are listening to this, just how do you actually do that? You want to help people be healthy? How do you get those people in front of you? So without further ado, it's been such an honor and pleasure to work with you. You're one of my favorite people. I shouldn't play favorites, but you just make it so easy to enjoy and to see that success. It's like the little engine that could in all manner. And what you've been able to do is just spectacular, and the people that you're reaching is spectacular. But it's not all easy, and people know the glory here, but they don't know the story. So let's give them a little bit of that. And what does it take to reach a multiple six-figure and $500,000 business as a health coach? It's rarefied air there. So without further ado, welcome, Rachel.
Thank you. So the question of what does it take? It takes heart. If you start there, the rest kind of falls into place. Yes, there is some nitty gritty things like keeping track of your numbers and really taking time to be grateful for what you do have, or think about what you do want. Those are some of the easy to do, easy not to do things, but they make a big difference in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Take us back to when we got started on this journey. I was writing this first book, Free to Heal. It wasn't my first book, but first of this type. And you came to me and tell me your perspective from that, because we haven't really talked about what that was from your perspective. But tell me where you were at, where were you working, what was happening, and what did you want to do?
So I'm going to go back to when I first even not met you, but knew about you. So we were in Miami and you were speaking at IAN, and the whole thing of radiology kind of, definitely speaks to me, because that's where I was. And I'm like, dude, if this doctor can do this, why can't I? And as I continued just to follow you on social media, I was connected through an offer that you had. And I was like, yeah, I'll totally do this. Well, I have a learning disability, and that's not something that I use as a crutch, but that's just how it is. And as I'm going through this, I'm like, oh my Lord, I don't know how to do this. So I actually contacted you. I don't even know how I contacted you, but I was like, this isn't working for me. So I need help or something. I was in a very low place, and I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how to get there.
Yeah. So we're always on our path. So I'll take it back to where that was. Up until that point, I was a health coach, and I was successful as I was helping people be healthy. And then when I was speaking at that event for thousands of health coaches in Miami, and Joshua of IIN asked me to be the MC of the event and teach some of the things. And it was amazing. And I met these amazing health coaches. Deepak Chopra was the keynote. It was a really fun event. I really liked it, and to meet all of these people. And what I noticed and what I remember now, but at this point, I was already a successful health coach, which is why I was asked to speak. But to become a successful health coach, well, that took me years and cost me about $100,000 to get to where I was standing there looking like, oh, you got it all going on. But I made all the mistakes, but I was now kind of minding my own business, but always willing to help, right from really day one, help other health coaches out there, mainly just in the form of little free talks or tips, that sort of thing. Because, we are all in this together trying to help the world be a healthier, happier place. And so that's kind of where I was at. And then when I realized that these health coaches weren't actually health coaching, I'm like, right. I remember how tough that was to figure it out. It's one thing to know what to do, but still, and to have a desire and to have a certification, but then to actually get the clients, how do you figure that out? And I remember, I'd been a doctor, had a lineup of people, of patients, waiting list, but as a health coach, me with the same degrees and certifications, where is everybody? There was nothing. So I remember how hard that was. But the thing that I had that most health coaches don't have is I had $100,000 to burn through from my medical income in the trial and error phase. And I figured some stuff out. And by the way, it's always changing. What works, whether it's Facebook or the new thing, whatever is the new thing, it's always changing. The core principles always stay the same. So yeah, I had, at that point, I was just doing health coaching. And after that, I'm like, I got to write a book. So I wrote a book, and I also was doing just like a little thing, like just, if people could just get their course online, that would be helpful. So that's the thing that you had done. That was my first little tiptoe into, well, maybe I could help people just do this. And I thought, I learned in this, I'll be nice. I'll just give people lifetime access to this. That, as I teach, is generally a mistake, unless it's something that doesn't really matter. But if that's the core thing, people won't actually do that, because if you can probably find everything on the internet, but unless you have that commitment and that focus, it doesn't actually work through. So yes, so there we are on the phone. You're like, I'm ready to throw in the towel on this whole health coaching thing. And tell me a little bit about what was happening. What was the struggle with that?
Well, at that time, I was still working in radiology. And so I was trying to make money on that end and still have a family. And I have 5 kids and a husband, and trying to manage that and trying to build a business. And then it's hard. It's not for the faint of heart. But at the same point, if that is something that you are called to do or have a drive to do, you're going to make it happen. So finding the right people to help you navigate through that is definitely where I came to you and was like, I need that help. And just try. I mean, I was definitely in that low space in the mental. As you read your book, as people read your book, it's the lower portion of the elevator. And truly using that and getting into the right headspace makes a world of difference.
Yeah. And you had, I remember it being sort of a very emotional call, that first call out. But your timing was divine, is all I can say, because I had just had, so I always say you got to have your why that fuels you. And I had just made this commitment, and my job was going to be, I'm going to write this book. My plan was, I'm going to still health coach, but I'm going to write this book and I'm going to give it to as many health coaches as I can for free. That was supposed to be the end of it. And then while I was writing this book, just before while I was writing this book, I had someone say, hey, can you help me create a signature program? And I said, no, I'm writing my book. And I had cleared a space from clients. I was starting to taper them out so I could write the book. And then within 3 days, I had 3 people ask me the same thing. And I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, well, if there's 3 of you, I'll help you. And that's when I started this Awakened Healers program. And that's when you came in, and I'm like, okay, if you still really want to be a coach and you still want to do this, let's bring you in here. Let's do this. And that was who knew what a pivotal moment that was? Now, but at this point, you were working as an X-ray tech, and you had a certification already. Were you already a health coach?
I was already a health coach. I had a few clients, not like an abundant, but navigating through that, yeah, I did have some.
But nothing that would allow you to leave your day job, which was something that you wanted to do so that you could be there for your kids, kind of work more on your own time, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So then we start working together, and fast forward, and once you had so the first few things, what were some of the first few things the core things that you got right away, and in terms of kind of the main basic foundation steps as you're going through that first portion in the Awakened Healers? What were some of those things, the core things that started to turn the tide from wandering aimlessly, trying to get a client here, client there, this package? What was it that we did that started to get things dialed in for you?
Well, some of the first things, first of all, when health coaching is new, or new to most people's thought process, and they're like, well, what do you do? And you're like, deer in the headlights. And so getting that niche and finding out really what you do to serve people, to get them results, was one of the biggest things. And then getting your program together. Yes, I coached people, but it was like, I had my own way. We went with what worked, and finding something that really did work, putting it together in a program so that they can get the results that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you say before you came in, what would you have thought was the missing link? Like, why couldn't you have just done that on your own? What was some of the things? Is it a confidence, or was there a knowledge or a niche? What were the things that were like the missing links that were, despite spending some time? How long had you had your certification for already? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember exactly. It was probably 2 to 3 years.
Okay, so a couple of years trying it on your own, 2 or 3 years trying it on your own. This isn't working. So now here we are. And so what were some of the things before, if looking back, the things that I was missing or that I was looking for what was that?
Well, confidence was a huge thing. And then just really getting clear on clarity is prosperity, and finding out really what you want to bring to people, to serve to people, and help them solve their problem.
Yeah. And then so we got your niche, and tell us a little bit about how we got your, like, how do we pick your niche? Do we just like go on the shelf and we pick it, or how do we pick your niche? And tell us a little bit about that.
So what I was looking for was definitely women to help. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. When I stepped back from radiology, I realized what stress does to you. And in that process, I got healthy. I lost 70 pounds. And I was like, wow, if I can do that, I am surely, there's more busy moms out there that need support in that. So that's kind of where I was going for, was busy moms. And then weight loss, gut health was definitely my jam. So building on that, and then having a program that works around that.
Yeah, and deliver results. So yes, you got your niche. We kind of mined your story, the elements of it. You knew what it was like, growing up, and you had mentioned learning disability and things, and that shakes your confidence. And then, trying to figure out, having that extra weight as a kid, and that shakes your confidence. And so you grew up with a burning desire to help people be healthy. And so the logical thing, once you lost your 70 pounds and you're like, I get health, that's cracking the code on that. That's how I was able to lose the weight. I could help these others. So now you want to give back, and the way to help these future kids is through the moms, because they're the ones bringing the food in. Then you also had a soft spot because you have 5 kids of your own. Easy for someone with no kids to say, oh, just have them eat this healthy food. You got some picky eaters, you got this or that. Not always as straightforward as it is. So you had compassion for your clients. You actually loved your clients. You understood the challenges firsthand, intimately, what they had, much as I understand the challenges firsthand with what you guys go through. And so you started helping them out. What were some of the surprising ways that you found clients? So we don't really find them; we attract them. So we first, well, if you read this book, you'll hear about the love elevator. It's not an actual physical thing, but it is coming from love and having fun, and ease is the key and joy is the key. It's like, what? So a lot of people think they have to work harder and hustle and struggle. And so did I. I tried that. But that just burns you out, and that doesn't actually get there. And it's usually once you finally give up the struggle, then boom, now you can have it. You had some fun examples of how clients came to you kind of when you least expected. Is there any one or two scenarios where that happened, and what did you do to try to get that client?
Well, one of my favorite stories is just go on vacation. Go to that place where like there's no worries. My husband and I went on a trip to Hawaii, and I legitly just had fun, and we enjoyed each other and just enjoyed Hawaii, and came home, and first thing I'm just having conversations with people, and I have 4 clients in one day.
It's still one of my favorite stories is the 4 clients in one day, and they came to you. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. And I'm like, just have fun. And over the time now that person after person has gone on holidays, finally given a rest on the question. So if you haven't heard me speak on this before, Einstein says the level of the problem is different than the level of the solution. And so if you are asking, where are my clients? Where are my clients? I can't find any clients. You don't have access to the clients that are up here, but you've asked the question. So instantly the clients are there. And when you stop asking the question, and you make a space, and you get into that love elevator, and you start having fun and doing things that you love, petting your dog, petting your cat, enjoying life, going on vacation, having fun, finding some ease. That's why I keep this.
That was easy.
I keep the easy button handy, because as people say, how did you, and I say, how did you get them? And it's a great example. And then as you see it over and over and over again, struggle means you're going in the wrong direction. So yeah, and they come to you. It's so fun. And when they come to you, so much better than when you're not knocking on doors, cold calling. They're coming to you. You're bipping and bopping, enjoying your life. And when you know what you do, then you're attractive. Before, if you're a health coach and somebody says, what do you do? And you say, I'm a health coach. They're like, okay, good. That's the end of the conversation. They might say, what is that? But that's it. But when you talk about what you actually do, the work that you actually do, and we cultivate that power statement, that one sentence that you have on hand that actually says what you do. And then you have a signature program, a way to deliver excellent results. And you don't try to be everything to everyone. You just get excellence is our strategy. The strategy is be excellent at what you do. That's the game plan. And then you just be the best you can be. And then it's up to somebody else whether they want to, if they're wanting those results. So yeah, so that's fine. So we've got some early success. Then you're like, let's keep going. And you were the first one to keep, continuing on. And while we worked together, I wrote the next book, because then I realized, okay, well, that's really good. But if we're going to have you leave your day job, or if anybody wants to make health coaching their main way of living, I really honestly believe you want to make 6 figures. Now, you can do other jobs where you're not making 6 figures, but I really feel this is a goal that you should set. Now, a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to do that, because they imagine it's a hustle. And they're thinking they need hundreds or thousands of clients and numbers. No, that's not what it's about. It makes you not vulnerable. So if you are making 6 figures, you're comfortable. potential. For most people, they're at least a comfortable. It's not extravagant, but you're comfortable. And if someone else comes along and says, hey, here's $250,000 to do this thing, and that's a toxic job and you don't really like it, you can say, no, thank you. But if you aren't earning enough to put food on the table and a roof over your head, you are going to take that job that you don't want because you have to, and you never get enough traction going forward. So that people could, if you're making at least six figures, then people could ask you 5 times as much, offer you a job 5 times as much. But if it's not something that you want, then you can say an empowered no, thank you, I'm good. So I also say it's not about the money, but you got to make them enough money, because it's not about the money, for it to be not about the money. So tell me a little bit about that journey. So now you have a program, and now you're continuing on. And what were some of the things that you would say? You kind of started off that way. You kind of gave people a good, glimpse into what that looks like to do this now, not just like a one-hit wonder, but to have the staying power and to go the distance. Tell me any tips or things that you would share about that journey of now going all the way to 6 figures. What's been helpful for you for that?
One of the things that is so in my mind, that life is a journey, business is a journey, and you have those hills and you have those valleys. And there's so many times where you get just, you're in that valley, so to speak, and you're like trying to make things work, trying to try different things. A lot of people want to quit right there. It's like weight loss journey. You're almost there and people are like, this isn't working. Or you can put anything in that. But in business, when you're in that moment of like valley, so to speak, if you keep going, it's like right there, like magic is going to happen real soon.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that was really stuck to me, because if I wouldn't have stayed with you through that year, there's definitely things that come. There's things that try to sideswipe you. World events hit you like a bullet, and life situations change. And I mean, everyone's got excuses. Everyone's got reasons to do what they want to do. So it's a matter of making up your mind and making what happens work.
Yeah, because you hit your first 6 figures year, spring, May or so of 2020. Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. If you just had that first part and you don't have that support and accountability, there is plenty to get distracted about. You all of a sudden had to homeschool 5 kids. Wasn't counting on that. But when you have a plan and you can work the plan and you get a little bit of momentum going, and you're right, don't quit. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, right? In that book, they talk about, give an example of somebody quitting 3 feet from the gold. They were mining for gold and they've tried for years and they finally gave up and sold it. And the next person came in and struck gold and they were just 3 feet. So that's where that saying, don't give up 3 feet from the gold, it comes from. And that's what a lot of people do, because they will get into, as Seth Godin says, the dip. So it starts off great. You're all enthusiastic. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. This is great. And then it gets real. And then some stuff happens that doesn't work. And you'll have things in your family or in the world or in your community or in your body. Stuff happens in life over the course of the year. And you're vulnerable. And a lot of people will divert their focus over there and not bring it up the whole way. But if you, like you were saying, be persistent, just like in that movie, Finding Nemo, where I think it's Dory says, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And you take those positive steps and that consistency. And that's where that support and accountability, having the tracks to run on, having a game plan to follow, rather than just going, what do I do now? What do I do now? Having a big game plan where you can zoom out at the beginning of the year and say, this is what we're going to do. And then zoom in to just, what do I have to do this quarter, and forget about the rest. Then what do I have to do this month? forget about the rest. Then what do I have to do this week? And just forget about the rest. Just focus on this and bring it into some bite-sized piece that you can actually manage. Much like a weight loss journey too. Like if the goal is too big out there, you psych yourself out and you give up. But if you can just say, hey, I'm going to do 2 minutes of exercise or 10 minutes of exercise, whatever you can do, and then keep building. And your journey is such a testament to consistency and persistence. I know we had a panel discussion at a recent retreat for Six-Figure CEO boot camp that we did. And I really feel like that was one of the messages that you shared with the others, right? It's just that consistency and that persistence. And focusing on what's working and what's positive. It was not that we don't have to dip into too much, but it wasn't clear sailing. It's not like, oh, well, it worked for Rachel because she has a perfect life and she didn't have any problems that year, so she lucked out.
Like you touched on a little bit ago, family events happen. It can happen, health-wise, or things come that you didn't see coming. It's just real life. And I'm a real person, and you have to navigate through that.
Yeah. And I know for both of us, we both have some significant events, which most people will not ever hear about because we're definitely positive focused. But most of the people who use those things as excuses, they're not excuses. That's nothing. You want to see an issue? I'll show you an issue. But we don't have to have a contest of who's got a worse life, because we are going into the contest of how can we have a better life, better and better. So yeah, it's not without challenges. And you can imagine, I think most people can appreciate even just having 5 perfect kids with everything going perfectly smooth, like that alone. And your kids how old are your kids? What's the age range when in this mix of when you're starting?
When I started, it was like 13 to 6.
Yeah.
And I have 5 of them, so they're smashed in there.
So you can get an idea. Like, it's not like they were all grown and out of the house or anything like that. Those are the birthday party years, the helping me with homework, somebody's picking on me years, I've got in trouble at school years, all of the stuff. I forgot my lunch. All of the stuff. I'm in these activities. I want to do this. I want to do this. Well, it's like the real work of it. So to just do that, incredible. So now fast forward, and one of the things is that you've done is continue to grow and evolve. And as you meet up with something that might not be going, when we have a challenge, when something presents itself, sometimes, for me, I think it's all the time, there is a gift on the other side of that challenge that might be really prickly, that we really don't want to open that gift up because it is so painful. And one of those, relates to your nephew. And share a little bit about that as it pertains to how your practice then continued to evolve. So, we have some health coaches stay with some are all online. Some health coaches I work with are all online and virtual coaching. Some are in person, and maybe they're also a massage therapist or a physiotherapist or something like that. And some people have a clinic or a brick and mortar place. And you went from essentially virtual, although you did see some people in person, but you also had clients in Canada and you're in the US. So you had like international. But then as you keep moving forward, you keep chiseling out further and further and further, and new challenges and new opportunities present themselves. Tell us a little bit about what happened there that took it to where you do actually have a brick and mortar business now. What happened?
Yeah, so I'm going to take you back there. My nephew is about a year and little over a year. And we knew he had some dietary issues. Well, he got into some bread with cottage cheese, and we knew his milk was one of his triggers. He ended up in an anaphylactic reaction. My sister lives 20 plus miles out of town. So they met up with the ambulance. They epied him. He got stabilized. He's in the hospital. So then they went to specialists because like now we've got what's the issue. So they were sent to this specialist and they do blood tests and you stay away from all these foods. And there's like 5 pages. Well, we live in the area that we do that there's not much options for variety. And so they were like, well, maybe there's something more. So they go to another specialist. And again, stay away from all these foods that are on this list. So me being the health coach, my sister's like, you got to help me. And I'm like, I'm scared to death to help you because I don't know what he's going to react to. It just was like random at this point. So we actually found a doctor that did electrodermal screening and did not know anything about that. I had no idea what it was. We took our chances. We drove 8 hours to the doctor, and I went with her because her husband was in the field and a farmer. And I'm just sitting on the sideline being her sister, and I am asking questions like I do. And I wanted to know more. I wanted to know why he thought this way. And then pretty soon he looks over at me and he's like, what exactly do you do? And I was just like, oh my goodness, I asked too many questions. And he's like, no, I want to teach you to do what I do. And I was like taken back, for one, that somebody would take me under their wings and get to this deeper level so we can help people build their health. And so that's where I began to change a little bit instead of all online to go. So I continued to go to school and did a lot of traveling to learn this electrodermal screening. So now I have a brick and mortar. Clients come to me, and that same as, people come from all over. I have New York, I have Wisconsin, Michigan, other side of the state of Montana. People travel to me, and right now it's strictly word of mouth, and I have no advertisement going on.
Yeah, so awesome. So it's so great and now aren't some of your kids involved in your business?
So now their ages are from 15 to 8, and my 13-year-old definitely loves to participate. She actually she could probably do the scanning if I let her. So
it's fun, and how great to go from where you started as a struggling health coach, crying on the phone with me, not being able to figure it out, desperately wanting to do this work where you can really get out ahead of it and help people be healthy, wanting not to work at the hospital. That wasn't working. That's not what you wanted to do anymore. And wanted to be able to be there with your kids more. And fast forward, only it's not a fast forward, but when we look at it, really, it's not that long of a time. And now, boom, 500,000 on track to, it's over 300,000 and we're not done the year yet. So on track to 500,000. And it's not about the money, and her expenses are there, but absolutely 6 figures, absolutely multiple 6 figures, and able to do work that if it wasn't working and if people weren't finding value in it, they wouldn't be coming. So the work that you do is tremendously important. And you've gone and followed your bliss. You niche it down further. And the strategy that I teach in 6-Figure Health Coach and Free to Heal is you carve out your niche and focus positive in this direction that you want. You have support, you have accountability, and you keep working to be the world's leading expert in your tiny little area. Excellence is the strategy, and that's exactly what you've done. And you'll know from some of our retreats that we do, I'm originally from Manitoba, so some of the music from there, but Taking Care of Business is a song that we sometimes play, and VTO. And so I always say, if you take care of your business will take care of you. And I've seen it over and over and over. And at the beginning, it doesn't feel like you have a business. And I think that's the tripping point. If I zoom out and do big picture, and why so many health coaches are not successful is they see themselves, like I did, as a healer. I was a doctor, I'm a healer. as a health coach, you're a healer. You didn't really realize you just became an entrepreneur. And that's the missing link in the gap for most people. And so when you can get some structure to that, and you can make peace with the fact that you are an entrepreneur and do it your way, and in a holistic and beautiful way, ooh, the freedom that can come on the other side of that is so worth it. It's so worth it. And I just love it. Anything else that you want to share, a favorite client story, or any other tips or advice that you would have, or anything about what's important, or why support's important, or anything else that you want to just share with anyone about how do you become a six-figure health coach? Anything else you want to share about that?
Well, going back to the niche, like if you really figure out what your niche is and who you want to serve, for me, it's busy moms. But then there's going to be dad or grandpa or baby, and they're like, but I'm not a busy mom. You can still help them because you still know what you know, and they're not that busy mom.
I just got to say, I hear you parroting a lot of the stuff that I've taught, the niche is just to attract the people, help anyone you want to help. That if you try to help anyone, they can't find you. And so I hear you saying those things. And I got to say, you do not have a learning disability. You're one of the most brilliant people. And when you come from heart and come from love, there is no disability. You have learned everything, and you've learned it faster. You reached six figures way faster than I did. And it was such an honor and a privilege to go with you there. We're not done yet. We're going to keep going and exploring new territories and reaching new horizons, because the world really does need you and your healing gifts. And the world really does need, for our listeners, you and your healing gifts. Everybody has something that is special. I've not met a person who doesn't have a story that is useful for another human being. It's why we go through the stuff that we go through. Actually, the way I usually put it is, all that crap you go through is good fertilizer for your dreams. But all that stuff that you have endured, sometimes people call it make your mess your message. That's really it. And so, but in a non-triggering way, it's got to be fun. Some stuff you went through, you don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, and you don't need to. But some stuff, it's like, oh, if I'd have known this back then, this would have been easier. And so that's what I do, is I teach you guys what I wish I'd have known way back then, so that you can do it, and then even beyond. And the sky's the limit. That's the other thing, is when you kind of glossed over the plan must be scalable and leverage your time, because you can't be trading time for dollars, because that won't work. So you have to have a different business plan, and that is critical to success. Otherwise, you can work really hard, but there's only so many hours, and then there's only so many people you can reach. So awesome. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Rachel. Thank you for the work that you do. And how's what's your, one of the side benefits of this is your kids and your husband get to see what you've done.
Absolutely. And they get to benefit from what I do. Having a brick and mortar, having your own business. Let's say there's a basketball game or something going on. You just schedule around it and you do it. There's no one telling you can't do that.
Yeah. Let's throw in some, because that's the benefits of running your own business your way, saying what you want, how you want it, when you want it, with who you want it. You got freedom, and not only are you a great role model for them, but yeah, that any other bonus benefits there. And then I guess as well, you having access to that knowledge, which that other doctor could say, you actually know something about this. Who are you? What is it that you do? Because you're asking intelligent questions, because you know this stuff. This is your world. And then to learn it even further, but then all of what you know from your experience. And then it's really handy to know this stuff for your loved ones.
Absolutely. So that they can have that thriving life.
Yeah. And I know that you've put that into practice. So Awesome. Well, I could talk to you forever, and I get to talk to you again and again as we keep striving to new heights. But it was an absolute pleasure, Rachel. We are absolutely going to have you back and get updated on all of the great things that you're doing and what you're into. And as we do this journey really together, I'm learning new things all the time as well that we can pass along to people who are following in your footsteps. Thank you very much, Rachel. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. Have a phenomenal week. And of course, be good for you.